Right, this is R2D Tech and we're back again with another video today about the Huawei Mate X. Huawei have actually gone for a completely different design from Samsung so that it's actually a screen that folds out instead of inwards, which is quite interesting. But this means that when the phone is folded, you have one big screen on the front and then a smaller screen on the back, with kind of like a camera ridge which you can use to hold when the phone is unfolded. Now when it is unfolded, you get an 8-inch screen, which is massive. Because no one has really developed the technology to have foldable screens made out of glass, they're actually using plastic here, which is definitely not going to be as durable as glass. So it's going to scratch more easily, which is kind of annoying. And that's why you might prefer Samsung's design more, because it's actually protected because the screen folds inwards and then you have that extra screen which is made out of glass. Now, the added advantage of Huawei's phone is that when the phone is folded, because it has an outwards folding design, it is completely flat when it's folded, and that makes it a lot thinner than Samsung's wedge-shaped design. Now, when it is unfolded, it is incredibly thin. It's thinner than the iPad apart from that camera ridge. Now, some people might be worried about durability and whether it will snap easily, but we don't know for sure yet. So we'll have to find out when they release the phone.
When it comes to specs, the Mate X is an absolute beast. It comes with 8GB of RAM, so you're never going to have any lag. And also, it comes with the Kirin 980 chip, which is made by Huawei themselves, so it's probably perfectly optimized for their software. Now, you also get 512GB of storage with an additional SD card slot, so you can update this to even a terabyte if you want. And finally, you get a 4500 mAh battery, which will definitely get you through the day. If this wasn't enough, you also get a great resolution OLED display, which is actually higher resolution than the Samsung foldable phone. So that's absolutely amazing.
So the camera setup on the Huawei Mate X. So we do know that you get 3 cameras, however, we don't know the exact specs of those cameras because they haven't officially been released. Now, technically, there is no front-facing camera, so it is just those 3 rear-facing cameras. However, when you want to take a selfie, you turn the phone over, and one nice thing about the phone's design is you do get that extra screen on the back, so you can use the rear-facing cameras to take your selfie and still see what you're taking a picture of using that back screen. Even though we don't know the specs of these cameras, they are probably going to be some of the best considering it's coming from Huawei, which made the Huawei Mate 20 Pro. We can assume that the 3 cameras are going to be a wide-angle lens, a depth sensor, and a telephoto lens, but we don't know for sure.
In terms of software, the Huawei Mate X runs Android 9 Pie with the EMUI 9 skin on the top, which is made by Huawei. Now, nobody really likes this skin as much as stock Android, so it's a bit annoying to see it on this device as well, but it does work fairly well. The downside is, in this new strange folding tablet setup, we don't know and we don't think the software will be as polished as what we saw on Samsung's foldable phone, since they've spent a lot of time working with Google to optimize it for folding phones, but Huawei haven't been working with Google on this. In terms of multitasking, we've seen it running 2 apps at once, but we saw Samsung's phone running 3 apps at once, which is a slight advantage when it comes to multitasking, but we'll have to see if they update this in the future. Huawei haven't really partnered with any companies when it comes to apps like Instagram or anything, so there's no guarantee that they'll run perfectly on the new folding design. Whereas Samsung have done this, and we've seen that the apps like Instagram, which everyone wants to use, work perfectly on their folding phone. One advantage though is that the display on the Huawei Mate X doesn't have a notch, so it's actually a lot nicer to view content on.
So now we're going to talk about some of the features you get with this phone, whether they're wanted or not. First off, you do get a fingerprint sensor, but they're not going with Samsung's in-display fingerprint readers. they're actually putting it on the power button on the side, which is, I mean, it's useful to have a fingerprint sensor, but it would have been cooler to see an in-screen one. Now, you also, like Samsung's phone, you also get the battery split in two because of the folding design. Now, one of the unwanted features you get with this phone is creasing in the screen. So we saw it a little bit with Samsung's phone, but with this phone, it seems even more pronounced. Now, it's probably because the screen is made out of plastic, and until they can figure out how to make a foldable screen out of glass, you're probably gonna have that creasing, but it's a little bit annoying to see on £1,000 plus phone.
In conclusion, I love that Huawei are innovating like this, and I really like this new folding trend. But one thing that I would say is that the creasing does seem quite prominent, which annoys me, and the software definitely needs to improve. Another thing to mention is that since this phone folds outwards, the display will always be exposed when you put it in your pocket and stuff. So the plastic could easily get scratched against keys or something like that. Whereas with Samsung's folding phone, the display is protected when the phone is folded in, which is a bit of an upgrade.
Oh no, he didn't.
In terms of price though, this phone comes in at around $2,600, which is quite a lot more expensive than the Galaxy Fold, and I don't know if it's worth it. The idea, in my opinion, is that this is an early unit and this is a first generation product, and that's why it's so expensive. All of these companies are testing the waters with this product and they're not intending everyone to buy it. It's more of a luxury device which only a select few will buy. But in the future, I think we can expect it to become a more mainstream idea and product. So let's hope the second generation is a massive improvement on this.
This was R2D Tech. If you liked the video, please give us a thumbs up. If you loved the video, please consider subscribing.